Hi. You're welcome back to my YouTube channel. And let me apologize. I know I've not been consistent here. Seriously, I can't even say why. I actually think I just forgot. It sounds crazy, right? But I absolutely just forgot that I post videos here. But yes, we are back now. So this video is going to be a bit sensitive video because I really feel like this was something that was I got, I don't know if I should say it's the Holy Spirit, but it was something that actually came to me from a devotional. And I really want to share that devotional to everyone, who watches me. My devotional is the GSAF, is a foundation. I actually read that devotional. It has really impacted my life. And I'm going to drop the link of this particular topic in the description box so that you can also go and read it. It will help for better referencing. So that devotional was on the 27th of July 2026, obviously. And the topic was, for heaven's sake, control yourself. And the verse of that day was on Proverbs 25, verse 28. And it says, like a city walls are broken through is a person who lacks self-control. And in order to summarize that particular devotional, it was just teaching you that the Holy Spirit can actually help you to gain self-control. And I know that whenever we talk about self-control, we always like to reference things to like lust, addiction, you know, those kind of very obvious things that is very obvious that when somebody has this thing, you lack self-control. But there was this particular, at the ending of the devotional, there was something that they said there that really, really struck me. And I feel like my mind has never actually gone to that aspect. So at the ending of that devotional, this is what they said. They said, the Holy Spirit produces the kind of fruit in our lives, self-control, Galatians 5:22 to 23. God's Spirit won't forcibly control you, but He would enable you to control yourself, resist temptation. And this is what spoke to me. Master your vulnerability and win the victory. Master your vulnerability. What I'm trying to say from this devotional is that I just never knew that sometimes that the Holy Spirit is also important in mastering our vulnerability. And in my own, I'll say that my vulnerability are my emotions, you know, because as somebody who grew up with a lot of suppressed emotions, I just did not know sometimes how to control them. I did not know how to regulate them. I think that is the right word to use. I didn't know how to regulate my emotions, and whatever I felt, you know, um, was a very high. It determined my actions. It felt like my emotions ran my life for a very, very long period of my life. But I feel like when I read this thing, I actually realized. I just don't know why it never occurred to me that you can actually depend on the Holy Spirit in helping you in mastering your emotions. So, how did I actually come about this? That's a whole story altogether. I don't know how I'm going to fix everything in here, but I'm just going to try. So, for now, let's keep the devotion aside and let me tell you a very brief story. When I read this devotional, or should I say, it was in July, but I got the understanding of this devotional, I think in August, and it made me I had to go and look for that devotional because there was something that happened. I was chatting up somebody, and this person was not very fast in replying, and the his reply was very important because it determines my plan for the day. And I was chatting up two different people for just, the other person was just, vibes and nothing too serious. So, and then I realized something. The person that I needed his reply was not very fast, and he ended up not even finishing that conversation up to today. Yeah, crazy stuff, right? But then there was another person who I would just send the message, he would send back, I'll send his. I don't know if you get, like, he was there, he was like active. And then, but then I realized something, that aside from the fact that, the person who was delaying this message was his reply was important. There was, let's just say, there was this a little bit attachment I had to this person. And for the fact that the other person was not answering the messages was hurting me. I was really hurt that this person was not answering my messages. I was hurt that this person was not giving me the reply I needed. And would I say that my mind was a bit attached to his reply? Absolutely. I'm not gonna deny it. But then it was hurting me that this person was not replying at not I'll not just say at fast, but he did not just reply even up to this point. But then there was this other person who I was actually chatting with, and this person was replying my messages like as fast as he could. I don't know if you get, so like, how will I put this thing? It was in that moment I started realizing something, and I started asking myself this particular question, which is what? Why am I attracted, or why am I attached to inconsistency? Because I started asking myself, here are two different people. This person is replying my messages. The other person has not replied my message up to this point that we are making this video. But I find myself being so, you know, focused on this person. Then it made me ask myself, am I focusing on things that are beyond my reach? Am I focusing on things that are inconsistent? Why am I being attracted to something that is not just consistent? Why am I being attracted to chaos? Is a question I started asking myself. And the moment I started asking myself this question, I just don't know. In that moment, I remember this particular devotional, because in that moment I started becoming vulnerable. No, I did not reach out to that person. No, I did not do that, please. But at that moment, I became so vulnerable because I became very emotional. And I was just like, why am I reacting like this? Why am I feeling like this? Why am I reacting this way? Why does it feel like this person has power over my emotions? And that was what made me, I had to literally go back to this devotion, because I remember the devotion, I had to go back to it. And I read this last part again. And I remember something, which is that God actually can help us to manage our emotions and our vulnerability. I don't know if you can see the connection that I'm trying to make here. And I feel like in that moment, I realized something, which is something I feel like I just never knew that I used to do, which was I was chasing a certain form of attraction instead of chasing calmness, instead of chasing consistency, instead of chasing patience, instead of chasing what? Peace. I was chasing attraction. And this is where I got the topic of this video, which is peace can also be attractive. Peace can also be beautiful. But most times, because of we always have this elevated what do I call this nervous system, a nervous system that chases things that are not very, how will I put this thing? We just tend to chase these things because we feel like, okay, that these ones we are attracted to these things, but sometimes that thing you're attracted to doesn't necessarily give you so much peace. It doesn't give you so much calmness. It doesn't give you the things, it doesn't give you the attributes that the Bible has already demonstrated that these things are the attributes of love. I don't know, I'm trying my possible best to explain this thing, but it's a bit difficult, but I'm trying. So, what does Bible say that they are the attributes of love? So, at first, I don't know, something happened now. So, at first, I wanted to, talk about the attributes of love that the Bible talks about, which is it talks about love being patient, love being kind, love not being envy, not being boastful, which is good. But I don't know. Now, as I'm sitting down here, I was making this video, I feel like something told me I should actually check the particular verse of the Bible that was used in that devotional, which is Galatians 5:22 to 23. And I just checked it now, and I feel like it actually portrays better what I was trying to say, which is, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and what self-control. And I don't know, I just kind of realized that if something is not actually giving us this peace, if something is not, you know, giving us joy, giving us is no patience with us, why are we chasing that thing? Why are we chasing chaos? Why are we chasing, you know, things that are beyond our control? And that was when I actually realized, and what I learned from this thing is that most times we chase this thing because of what? Our vulnerabilities, our emotions, which are under control, our history, trauma, you know, shame, validation. Do you get? These things are things that are out of control. And I just kind of learned that the Holy Spirit can actually help me in managing these things. The Holy Spirit can actually help me in controlling my emotions. The Holy Spirit can actually help me in managing my vulnerability. And in that moment, I started realizing something, that if my vulnerability can be managed, if my emotions can actually be managed, then that means that I will not be chasing things that don't yield the fruits of the Holy Spirit. I will not be chasing things that don't give me peace. I will not be chasing things that don't, make me feel regulated, because somehow it felt like my emotions were drawn to, you know, inconsistency, absence, chaos. But I feel like that experience of having those two people, one who was answering my messages and the other person who was literally, you know, keeping me hanging. I was more drawn to that person who was keeping me hanging. And I asked myself, why am I drawn to this? Why am I drawn to this inconsistency? Why is this what is affecting me more? And why am I not being focused on this other person? I don't know if you get the connection I'm making here. I'm not a preacher, but I'm just somebody who really likes her devotional, and I just want to share it with everybody. And I just don't know if I've communicated this thing very well. I don't know if I did it. In order to conclude this video, I'm just gonna say this thing, which is something I really feel like this devotional taught me, which is the Holy Spirit will help us to manage our vulnerability. There are other things it mentioned here, which is control yourself, resist temptation, master, not even manage, sorry, is master your vulnerability and win the victory. And I just feel like he can help us to do that. And whenever he helps us to do that, he will be able to also help us to identify the things that we are associating with that is not necessarily bearing his fruit. I don't know if you see the connection. And the fruits of the Holy Spirit include love, joy, peace, which is mostly where I based, my topic today on, gentleness, calmness. And most times we necessarily don't see those things. Instead, because of the fact that you have a very unregulated emotions, you would notice things that are inconsistent and absent. So I'm making this video to show you people that in that moment I started realizing that this were where my mind is. I'm looking at people who are absent. I'm looking at people who are not there. I'm looking at people who are inconsistent. But in that moment, I started noticing people who are present. I started noticing people who are consistent in their words and in their actions. And I started noticing people who have just, I don't feel these palpitations when I'm with them. I feel very calm with them. And I don't know if I interpreted this devotional well. I'm not certain, but I just feel like this might actually help another person. And probably with this, you actually start noticing the things that actually make you feel loved. that make you feel peace, that give you so much joy, that are gentle with you and is calm. And I really hope and I pray that you actually start moving towards those things, because me, I'm trying my possible best to also move towards those type of things. Okay. So we are going to be ending here, and this was not just a random video. Trust me, this was something I sat with and I just got to a realization of about myself, and I want to share it with other people. So I guess I don't know if I will still talk about it again in the next video. I don't know yet, but for now, thank you so much for watching. And if you can relate to what I said, please you can comment below, share, like, and don't forget to subscribe. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. Bye.